Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Grace Family Love Podcast. It's nice to be back.
Hi, guys. So today we have a topic for you guys that has kind of been on my mind, or I feel like God's kind of, again, I was saying earlier that I feel like if God's not constantly bringing a word to our life that's edifying and shaping us and molding us, then we might be a little bit stuck. And if we are stuck, it doesn't feel very good being there, because it just kind of, I don't know about you guys, but if we live in Fresno, so anytime that, like pools are sitting there and they're not getting treated, you'll start getting a knock at your door saying like, hey, we have mosquitoes. I think we got some green waters, around, because the water's just, it stinks. It stays there and it's
stagnant.
Yeah. So I think that's what happens if we don't have that constant word in our life. So I wanted to share with you guys, 2 Corinthians 9:6. And it says this, it says, whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly. Whoever sows generously will also reap generously. And, we've been kind of hearing it from Pastor Gabriel, as he's been preaching. He's taking it to, talking about favor and blessing. But I think that something that kind of just matched this week for me that really was interesting to hear is that, it's not just about financially, like giving financially, but it has to be with that mindset of people that give generously. It's not just financially, it's everything that they have. You posted a reel not too long ago. And like, I don't know, you want to share what the reel was about? It's like putting on blast. Yeah, you want to share?
Yeah, it was, I'm not quite sure which one. I did a couple.
The one that we were just talking about, the one that with the giving 100%.
Oh, yeah. So it just kind of, I wanted people to ask themselves, what would life look like if you gave 100%? And not necessarily in any one particular thing, but we have a tendency to quit. We have a tendency to give up before we even get started. And so the question was, like, what would it look like if you didn't quit? What would it look like if instead of just giving half effort, you committed yourself to that thing? And chances are it probably would look a lot different. A lot of times we say, yeah, I'm going to do that, whatever it is. And then it gets hard, or we get tired, or even myself, I get bored. Sometimes like I just get bored of something, and then I'm like, okay, I want to do something else. And I never really give it a chance to see like what it could become if I gave 100%.
Well, I think that something's really, really cool that I heard is from Dr. Leaf this week. And I mean, her accent's super cool. I can't do that accent that she does, and I can't even try. But what she was saying is that she's like, your brain is a messy place. She said, it's okay for it to be messy. And it's the first time that I ever heard that, like, what? It's okay to have a mental mess in your brain and your head, because we're human. And as things come up, that's the way that we respond to things that we are not comfortable with, that we are unsure of. But God kind of put it in perspective a little bit further, because I mean, once you stop there, then it tells everybody, yeah, go ahead, have all the anxiety you want, yeah, have all the meltdowns you want. Like, no, it's not what she's saying. She's just saying that it's okay, like you don't have to feel guilty because your brain is this way. And a lot of the times I think that that's what happens, like we sit in this guilt because our brain doesn't want us to do these things, and then we feel bored, or we feel tired, or we feel exhausted and have anxiety about it, or all these things, and then we act out on those feelings. So then we quit. But one of the things that was interesting is that God was saying, okay, yes, let it be a messy brain or whatever brain you have, but take your thoughts captive to me. And when they say captive, it's like, if you can imagine somebody chaining somebody up and taking them and dragging them to God and saying, God, what do you say about this? So when you say like, okay, God, do I quit? What do you say about this? Like, God, am I going to be mean about this? What do you say about this? Or am I going to just, like slash somebody's tires? What do you say about, I hope you don't slash somebody's tires, but you know what I mean? Like, it's just like that thought process. And I thought that it was so neat because for what you said about give yourself 100%, the only way that we don't give 100% is because we give in to our thoughts, that messy brain. And then we stop there. Like we just give in to those
Yeah.
thoughts. Instead of saying, okay, I don't care what the messy brain is saying. I'm going to take my thoughts captive and I'm going to do and give generously. I'm going to love generously. I'm going to forgive generously. Like I'm going to, just be graceful, even though these people don't deserve it. Like I'm going to be like better, and I think that if we could really do that, then we really get to experience life. Even in your day, you get to experience these wonderful experiences versus just trying to escape your brain by feeling guilty, going on your phone, scrolling aimlessly, watching Netflix for like 6 hours, like just trying to escape your day.
Yeah.
And then there's a whole day that you just wasted that you're never going to get back.
Yeah, I have a lot of wasted days, I think, probably. And you can't get it back.
No.
I don't know, I wish that I could change things sometimes. I wish I could do things differently, and you can't go back. So you have to figure out how you're going to adjust moving forward. What does that look like for you? Like what adjustments have you made? Or
to me, so I'm not an organized person at all, like at all. I've never got taught that. I don't even know what organization looks like. I've had to TikTok things. I had to Google things. I had to Pinterest things. I had to do all kinds of stuff you can't see. But behind me, there's a desk. There's a calendar. There's, color coordinated stuff. There's pencils. And everything has a home. And these are things that I'm learning, guys. Like I kid you not. And it's a small space, that I tackled a small space and I know where things are at. If you ask me about that space, but it's practicing that in a little bit of more in my life. Like I hope that part, it just kind of grows a little bit more and more into my life. And before I would just feel guilty and feel bad because it's not organized. I don't know where things are at. And then I just threw a pity party and I'll just be upset with myself, but I didn't do anything about it. So now I try. And if I mess up, I still try again. And if I mess up again, I take my thoughts captive because that's the messy brain talking. And then I do it again. And then I do it again. And I have a calendar. And sometimes I'm really good. And then I'm even telling you like, hey, we have this tomorrow. We have this tomorrow. And I'm repeating it over and over and over.
yeah.
I put it on Time Tree. We share a calendar, which is really cool, by the way. If you don't have it, I'm not sponsored by Time Tree or anything, but it's an app that, you put something on, then it's linked to whoever, you attach it to. But those are things that I'm doing, trying to be organized. And is it easy? No, it's not easy. But one of the things that really struck me was when Brandon, our son, our 18-year-old son, told me, or 19 now, but he told me, Mom, if I don't pay the price because you guys didn't teach me this, my kids are going to pay the price and they're going to have to learn that. That hurt. That really hurt. So you either learn it and you teach it to your kids, or they're going to suffer and have to learn it themselves, kind of like what I'm having to go through now. And it's okay to say like, well, I didn't know any better. But what about now that you're hearing? What about now? Like the way that you speak, the way that you treat people. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
what about now? Like, can you just say that and be like oblivious? Like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about, Vanessa. Like, this is a dumb podcast. I'm going to turn it off. I don't know what the heck they're talking about. But it's true. Like, you're hearing the words now. So, like, what will you do with it? Will you let your messy brain take over and not grow and learn? Or will you say, I need help in these areas and seek out the help, so you can be your best self?
Yeah, I definitely wasn't taught organization, and I still suck at it really bad. But what's weird for me is like I don't even care about organization, not even a little bit. Like I have a desk that you can't see, and it looks like chaos, But I know where my stuff is at. Like it's when people try to clean for me.
I don't know what he's talking about, guys. I've never cleaned that desk.
When people try to clean for me and touch my stuff, like it drives me nuts. Like I hate it.
I can vouch for that.
But, I don't know at this point, like what the happy medium is. I haven't found it yet. So I'm still in a lot of ways still working through that. Yeah. But I know I hate it when people touch my stuff. I know.
But isn't that normal? Like when you're not ready for growth, like that people you might not like, you might hate it, like, because it's
Well, that's interesting the way you say it, because you say when you're not ready for growth because I'm not like you. And so that's a problem for you, but that's your problem, not my problem.
very true. Very
so
true.
that's the hard part, is it doesn't impact my life negatively until you're involved.
Yes.
Then because
that's a very good point.
Because you have a problem with it, you give me a problem about it. Right? And so where it becomes a problem for me is if my lack of organization impacts your life.
Or our family's life.
Or our family's life.
Yes.
But even still, in a way that disrupts you.
Mm-hmm.
Because the kids don't care if my desk is clean or not. No. Right? The kids don't care if, like, I have my stuff going from left to right or in a bucket mixed together. Like, the kids don't care. But the thing is now is, okay, at what point does that now begin to disrupt what God is calling me to do? If I'm supposed to be a good steward of my things and something is broken now because I didn't put it away where it was supposed to be, or if I needed to go meet with somebody and I forgot because my schedule wasn't in order. Now I'm potentially interfering with what God is calling me to do, because perhaps that meeting was somebody that really needed help, right? And was looking for somebody to just talk to. And so those are the areas where I need to, I'm working to find balance. And what happens is I can start beating myself up for not being like you, or for not being like somebody else that's organized on a different level. And then because I'm beating myself up because I'm not like somebody else, then it's like, well, what's the point of even trying?
Sure.
And so that's what I don't want to do that, because I tend to do that more often than I'd like to. And so that's where, in my mind, on my side, that's where holding my thoughts captive comes into play. Well,
I think that's important, because it's like, if you see that, guys, like, and you're listening to that and you're like, oh, dang, that's kind of a little bit like personal. Like, no, this is marriage. This is life. This is everyday life, in your life, in our life. Like, it's life. And I think that one of the important parts is that it's very true. Like, so in marriage, or even in a relationship with anybody, you know, like, the way that you do things, like, you're always going to try to impose, because in your mind you think, okay, this is the right way. So let me impose this on you.
Give me your best solution.
Right. So, and the best thing about it is, say that person doesn't accept that solution, you know, immediately we go to, like, you know, upset or anger or, you know, bitterness, or like, that's it, I need to trade, you know, like, because it's like, this guy's, I don't know, doesn't want my best solution, or my coworker doesn't want my best solution. But no, it's not personal. You know what I mean? Like how you said, like, that's your stuff. Like, that's not me. That's me. It's personal. Like, it's just my wants and how I want things done. So I think that in this part, I think a couple of things is important. One is that he said something that I think that is important. He said that that I do that when I feel like it affects me personally. And I think that in a marriage, when something does affect your spouse personally, you should care, you know, and you should, because we love each other. So I think that at some points, and I think that many times I've organized his desk and he's just like, oh my God, his eyes like about to twitch, you know, and I think that in the part of us being graceful towards each other, he knows, like, okay, she's just trying to be nice. She's just trying to do, like he said, the best solution for me. And out of that, like, when I start seeing pile up again, my natural instinct is to go put everything back. But then it's just like, no, wait, I can't, because he knows where his things are at, and I'm going to trust that, you know. And if I need something from him that I feel like it's going to affect me, then I need to talk to him personally and tell him, hey, I think that this is going to affect me in this way. Can you help with this, or can you fix this? So I think that that's important, because a lot of the times in our marriage, and that thought process, like he was talking about, like the guilt, I can just be guilty, or I could feel guilty because I'm not like somebody else. One, people are going to feel bad because they're not meeting your standards. right? Two, it just creates like animosity between people. And three, like nobody has that part where they can just continue to move forward. So I think that it's important for us to just be able to share that, to talk about that. And for either side, like my messy brain would get me to probably like retrieve, get emotional, get butthurt. You know what I mean?
Yeah, to
Retreat, you know, and for him, it would just be, for a guy, it would probably be like, okay, I'm upset.
Yeah, I just
Whatever
wouldn't
it
say
is.
anything. I would just be quiet.
No, but I mean, like,
Yeah.
not you, but just like if people that are not trained to kind of think like, okay, man, they did something nice, right away it'd be like, what the heck, you know, like, why'd you do this? It would just,
okay, got you.
you know what I mean? Like, it would be offensive to them because I'm not like this and you're trying to push this on me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that it's important. I'm glad that we're even talking about it. I don't know how I got to this, but I think that maybe just you guys hearing it out, as you guys have a relationship, you know, one, don't let your messy brain and the way that you think and the way that you perceive things and the way that, you know, like your brain tells you, you know, these high emotions, like don't cave into them and act out on them because you're feeling these high, what is it, like that flight or fight, you know, feelings. You end up hurting people with your words, with your actions. And instead of showing your best self, like you come out like, you know, just hurting people.
Yeah.
And you're not giving generously. You know, you're actually just taking away versus giving.
Well, I think you're still giving to a certain degree, but you're not giving the things that you want to get back.
Yeah,
right?
you're probably giving some mean-o attitude.
So you give a lot of attitude and you're gonna reap what you sow. You're gonna get a lot of attitude back. And I think
that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's where that, grace comes into play. I think you having a conversation, with me directly helps. On the other side of that, like you said, me making what's important to you important to me, like all of that is investment. All of that is sowing. So if I can sow into our relationship by saying, okay, what matters to you is going to matter to me, then if I can do more of that, then I can harvest that, right? I'll receive more of that.
Yeah.
If I give more grace, if understanding that when you clean up the desk, that you're trying to do what you can do to help me.
Yeah.
Then if I can have grace and instead of getting irritated or angry at that, I can extend grace and have a conversation with you, then I can expect to receive that. Yeah. But if I'm not sowing that, there's no way that I could reap that. And so this is not just, like you said, this is not just money. This is not just monetarily, giving to God and giving everything I have to the church. This is living out my Christianity in my house. Yeah. If God is generous and God is loving and God is kind and all these wonderful things, like, is that only at church? Is it only when the pastor says it? Like, it should be us living it out, right? Yeah. We go to church to get fed so that we can live it out outside of church. Yep. And that means at home and at work with our kids. And a lot of times, like, we are the very first expression, of that Christian love, that Christian life, and having the heart, for Christ. We're going to be that first example because we're closest to each other. Like, it can't be that, all those stereotypes that we have, like people are fighting in the parking lot and they put on their best face to go into church. Yeah. And then when they get out of church, they're already fighting in the parking lot before they even get home. Like, that's not living. Yeah. That's not a Christian life. Yeah. Like, that's faking it. That's being hypocritical. That's any other thing, but that's not being godly.
Yeah. I think that this week, guys, do the homework of, be intentional about being Christ-like and giving grace, being loving, being patient. And yes, your brain every single day is going to go through struggles. Just know that already. I'm going to give you that, just know it. Like, know it at like the back of your hand. Your brain in the morning is going to say, I don't want to. I don't like this. This is dumb. Whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to go there. But are you going to say those words? Are you going to act on those words? Are you going to have a sorry attitude? Or are you going to hear those things, but you're going to say, you know what, God, thank you for this day you've given me? Are you going to get up and you're going to hug your kids when you're just dragging your feet still? Are you going to make good choices? because you only have one life and you cannot redo a day over. Yeah. You cannot. So, homework, be intentional, get off on autopilot, and I don't care what your brain tells you, remember that your emotions are not always right, and just don't act on them. Take your thoughts captive, and that means force your thoughts and put them under God's word.
Yeah, I like that.
And pray.
Yeah, let's pray. Lord, thank you for just how much you're moving in us and how much you're moving in the people around us. Lord, thank you that somehow, some way, you always find a way to speak directly to our heart, whether you use people or your word or family members or the pastor or music. Lord, you always find a way to speak to us. And I just pray that you would continue to do that. Don't allow us to turn away from you. Don't allow us to turn so far and try to shut you out so much that we stop listening to the point where we can't hear you anymore. Lord, would you just help us to stay focused on what matters most, to help keep our eyes and our hearts fixed on you, to listen, to see what good things you're doing each and every day so that we can be grateful for what we have, grateful for having you in our lives, and that we can be a reflection of your love and your mercy and grace towards us by loving others. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.